Hey.
Congratulations, dude.
Hey, thanks.
I mean, we didn't really see in the replay there that that quad run from Clamp OK. I was actually wanting to ask you about that specific play. How difficult is it to know like how much quad they have left versus how much they've got left on the obelisk? There's a lot of numbers to keep in mind there.
Yeah, it's tougher when it changes hands a lot, you know, because the power up doesn't lose any time when it's just sitting there. So you have to make a good estimation of when it is, and we kind of failed on that second round. Like we thought we could go in, it was going to run out, and he killed 2 of us like right when he needed to. Otherwise, we could have maybe taken the second round there from them and won 2-0. But yeah, they did a better job on that round of setting up for that power up in that situation, and yeah, they deserved to win the round because of that play.
But not the map.
But not the map. Agreed.
And how did you feel on Lockbox?
Lockbox, well, they honestly today they played probably the best I think that they've played against us. I think just the way that we play clutch is a testament to how the first round went. We didn't get a single power up, but we managed to win still, playing objective based, and just got to give credit to Tim because he was getting like really stalled out a point sometimes, you know, and taking an abusive beating. You know, he's a big robot, but you know, he did his job.
And the rest, in the game.
Yeah, and the rest of us, we did ours. Like we really focused, targeted very well, and did a pretty decent job like escorting each other. So, and that's what we need to continue to do going into these finals.
Do you think in Lockbox they actually had a decent answer to Tim's play and the power-up play, and it just came down to, you know, fragging ability, or did your like preferred strat there actually carry out?
I think part of it was they got a decent spawn every now and then up at like the railgun, and if you get spawned there, the positioning is so good. You can, you know, guard the tele exit there with gauntlet, like if because they have to go up through that tele, or they have to rocket jump to the power up. And if they do, and you're already up there, you can use rockets to shoot at them or nails. So they honestly were able to get, you know, better power up position for that first round, especially. It was really tough to deal with, and we didn't. Every time like we were trying to go there early to set up, Tim didn't have shield to try to push us through the teleporter, or like, you know, we would get there and they would just, a teammate of theirs would spawn, so it'd be a 2-on-1 instead of a 1-on-1. So sometimes that's just the way the map goes, and it feels like that map in particular is the one that you could kind of hold position for a power-up, where the rest it's like holding position isn't necessarily the best thing to do. But on that one, you definitely need to get there early.
Cool. Well, I don't want to be a Shane hog, Zoot.
I actually had a couple of questions going back in the tournament and also forward, but I'll start going back because you played against WinRAR, I believe, in the groups. And I wanted to see, they ended up doing quite a good job against Stacked, but I was wondering what your opinion was of them in your group game, because it was one of the early matches of the tournament.
Yeah, I felt they underperformed in our match. It felt a little easier than it did against them in practice for the event. So, but yeah, the game was super, super close against Stacked. I watched it, and they seemed to pick up their level, just not enough for them to make it to the semis. So, but yeah.
You know, fair enough. Before I take it forward, have you got anything about past or present?
Yeah, well, actually, I'm just kind of touching on the communication. You know, I was watching you guys practice, and I've said it a few times, but I'd like to hear it, you know, from your mouth about the preparation going into this tournament. I know you guys have been putting in the time, but I was always impressed with your comms leading into here, and I felt that was a big part of your game. I liked how the communication was very fluid, because there's a tendency for some teams or players, you can talk too much, and you're drowning out the game sounds and giving information that really isn't needed. And of course, there's the dead silence, which is never good. Can you talk a little bit, how do you guys work on your communication? Because it seems really, really smooth.
We just try to figure out what we need to cut out of our communication. Like you said, sometimes too much information is not good enough, but you need to be giving information almost all the time. So it's more like, let's say an item is coming up, like we picked it up, somebody will casually say when the next one is, and hopefully out of the 4 people, somebody will remember if they happen to be there, or tell somebody to go get it off spawn. But the more important communication stuff, like things that are repeated or that are louder, or like, you know, which target got on the point first? Who do we need to be shooting? You know, like, do we need to set up for power up? Who's defending the base? What abilities can we cycle through the point to defend? That type of thing. Like, the things that are important at the time are the loudest, and like, just respect the calls and go with it. So.
I really appreciate it. You can see how your teammates trust the calls. That's another big thing, because you know, Quake players have a tendency to have a little bit of a personal ego, like, oh yeah, you said this, but you know, I think this is the better play. And I don't see any of that going on with your team. It's impressive.
Yeah, we just trust it. I mean, we also have, like, if somebody absolutely needs to, you know, like the call is not good, we need to change it, somebody says cancel, like if they have different information. So we'll know immediately, okay, we can't go that way, we have to go this way then, because he's the one that has eyes and we just have to trust it.
And wins, you can understand him perfectly well. That position that's good.
It's always a
well
plus.
enough.
Well, Shane, do you have any thoughts about the other side of the bracket here, this other semifinal, as you're now waiting in the grand spot?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I know 2Z plays a super, super fast tempo-style game. The strength that they've had is constantly assessing the obelisk and being able to get it off point, but they've kind of struggled. Sometimes they tunnel vision with that and they lose power-ups because of it. So where I think Stacked is pretty disciplined with power-up play. So it'll be interesting to see if Stacked manages to keep that going, if they can utilize those power-ups to like great effect, like especially protection. Like you have to get protection and you should hopefully guarantee like 30-35% for a cap out of that if you use it effectively. The only problem sometimes is if you're Doom, or like for our team, if I'm Scale Bearer and I don't have Rocket and I have protection, it takes a while to get from the base. And so then instead of like capping and having time left over, you're like having to defend for your life right away rather than getting a nice solid hold on defense. So, but that's what protection allows more so than quad, is to potentially cap and get a solid hold for the next 20-30%. So,
who are you expecting to face in the grand finals if you had your own prediction?
I'll have to say, you know, I love the guys on Stack, but I'll have to say 2Z. Like, you can't really go against them at the moment, so.
But you might have to. So congrats on making it this far, and good luck as you move into the grand, and good luck in duel as well. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Oh, can I interrupt quickly, because that's a good point. I was going to talk about future as well, because we get the nice opportunity to talk about your duel before you actually play it.
True.
And you're going to be going up against your buddy. Have you got any thoughts going to this? Because this is one of your top performances in Quake Champions duel at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, for both of us, so we've been playing very, very well this tournament. I'm just going to focus on my game, just try to play as best I can like I have the last 2 days, and that'll be that. So, and Tim's going to do the same. It'll just be interesting whether we have actual clutch versus clutch or not.
Yeah,
Actually, we were talking about that last night. I was wondering if we're going to see clutch versus clutch, and yeah, tradition continues. You have to play to hang, as usual.
Yep, just glad it's not the quarterfinals, it's the semifinals this time, so.
All right, well, let's take one more look at those brackets as we lead into our next semifinal right here in the Sacrifice Tournament. And once again, thank you to Rapha. Good luck to him and the rest of Team Liquid. But next up, we've got 2Z and Stack.